Hey, this is the Lord Potato, and this is What If Asta Went to the Naruto World? Part 4. Part 4. Yeah. But, let me say something before I actually begin. I am actually going to be adding some weapons that are not, like, in Naruto, but from other animes. Or something that I actually want to give Asta. That kind of fits a little bit well. But, not really. It's just because I'm bored and I feel like giving him this weapon. But I'll mention that weapon later. But I did mention that I was going to do this like into a 9 parts and all that. So yeah, it's just gonna. This 9 parts are probably just going to be in the Naruto world. Last part is going to be something special. Yeah, probably if I do it or not. There's a good chance I probably won't. But not the point. So let's begin into Naruto, or not Naruto, Asta. Asta gets outside and sees Naruto just training harder. Because Naruto froze up during that time when Asta was fighting against, well, Zabuza. Kakashi and Asta were actually fighting together. Even though Asta still doesn't like Kakashi at all. The reason why is because, well, Kakashi really is somewhat of a pervert and keeps reading those books. Every time Asta somehow walks into this shit, this is where Asta doesn't like his sensei at all. Of course, Asta never actually asked Kakashi for any help, even though Kakashi assists them in anything, anytime he wants to help them. Yeah, somehow Asta managed to always bump into those places where Kakashi's reading that book, and yeah. And Kakashi has to be very worried about Asta. Because either Asta has very lucky occasions just to find him in that shit, or very unlucky. So yeah. Of course, even though Kakashi has tried to help Asta, Naruto, and Raven, he could really not get the hang of Asta. Asta's a little bit colder than Naruto. Naruto kind of broke down after a while. Raven kind of did the same, but she still doesn't like him at all. But of course, this is where Asta has his heart pretty cold. So of course, this is where he is trying to. Of course, they did go to those mission exams and all that. Well, not mission exams. Mission, what's it called? Like, requirements and all that. Like, the D-rank missions, place and all that. Mostly all the missions are at. The Hokage Tower and all that. And Asta was actually kinder towards Aruka and Harusen. Him, on the other hand, fuck no. There's like a big fuck no to, well, Kakashi. And Kakashi's kind of saddened about that. Because even though Asta isn't really from any special family, and he doesn't have any connection towards Asta, either from family relatives or anything. It just reminds him way too much of himself. A little bit when he was younger. The fact that he didn't trust anyone. A little bit. At the same time, a little bit like, well, Minato Namikaze about his genius and intelligence and Funjutsu, but at the same time, intelligence and other, like, things, like Kenjutsu and other things, like the second Kage. Which kind of shows him that Asta's a little bit more of a genius, a natural born genius, that he kind of sees himself a little bit in it, and he tries to always help Asta, because he basically looks like Kakashi's son, even though, well, Asta doesn't wear a headband covering up one of his eyes, and he doesn't wear a mask. Even though Kakashi tried that once. Tried to legit make Asta into like a smaller version of his. And has accidentally called Asta his son. Which Kakashi's kind of always nervous about not doing that. But yeah. That's where, well, Asta always just ignored him most of the time, but yeah. But of course we go into Naruto just training. Just kind of punching at a tree, getting angry. The fact that he froze up during that battle. Even Raven froze up. Asta was the only one not freezing up and actually fighting against Zabuza. Of course, clashing. This is where, well, Zabuza was the only one kind of amazed seeing a small child look like similar to Kakashi. And of course, what kind of surprised Zabuza is says, "Hey, you fucking pervert, fucking do something." Kind of screaming at Kakashi. Which Zabuza kind of narrowed his eyes at, well, Kakashi. And instead of trying to kill Asta, he tried to kill mostly Kakashi. This is where, well, we go into a couple of days passing. This this is where Kakashi finally wake up. This is where he's wanting to train his team in tree climbing and water walking. All of them already knew about this shit. Asta's already good in water walking. He actually trained it. This is where, well, Naruto's the only one kind of falling on water walking, and Raven actually didn't actually train in water walking that much. She mostly trained in tree climbing. But of course, this is where Asta's already advanced and kind of goes off to do whatever. Even though Kakashi wants to kind of teach him one jutsu. A jutsu that he wants to know if Asta would kind of figure out on his own, because Asta doesn't have a Sharingan. But of course, Asta leaves before even kind of getting teach to do this, but yeah. Asta goes towards some place to just train peacefully. It's kind of misty right now, and of course, he just starts training, kind of kicking up in the air. Kind of like twisting in air, and of course, punching the ground. Of course, cracking the ground a little bit thanks to his own strength. But this is where Asta keeps doing all that. But of course, Asta kind of gets tired after a while. And night kind of falls. But this is where Asta just like sleeps. Just takes a small nap. This is where, well, next that happens, it was a girl with kind of like lightish, whitish hair. Of course, her tillish blue, not tillish, her kind of like misty, kind of greenish, bluish eyes are kind of looking at Asta. But instead of trying to kill him, she just makes sure if he's okay. This is where, well, she kind of likes Asta's hair color and kind of sees that he's kind of cute. This is where, well, this girl is kind of like checking on his pulse or anything. Asta, who actually cracks one of his eyes, saying, "What are you doing?" This is where the girl kind of falls backwards and like, sorry, I just wanted to make sure you're not dead. Asta gets up, kind of still having one of his eyes open. This is where, well, his other eye is kind of closed still, but Asta kind of just wipes the sleep off of it. And of course, Asta's emerald eyes kind of like, what's it called? Sees the misty, tealish, bluish eyes of this girl. This is where Asta says, "So what is your name?" This is where this girl says, "Oh, my name is Haking." This is where, well, Asta says, "The name's Asta. So what are you doing here, Haking?" This is where Haking says, "Oh, I'm just getting some herbs and other things just for some stuff, and yeah." This is where, well, Asta understands and says, "I see. Then I shouldn't keep you waiting. Or did you find all the herbs? Do you need help?" This is where, well, Haking says, "Yeah, can you find me some herbs?" This is where, well, Asta kind of helps her, and of course, this is where Haking says, "Thanks." This is where, well, Asta says, "Are you okay?" This is where, well, Asta kind of got close up to her face, kind of seeing if she's okay, kind of touching her in the forehead, and this is where, well, her face becomes a kind of like red color. She's like, close. This is where, well, she kind of falls backwards and says, "Ow, sorry about that." This is where, well, Asta says, "Nah, it's okay. I'm happy to know that you're okay. But still, why are you red?" This is where, well, I can say, no. I'm red because, I think I got a, what's it called, fever. I'll be fine later, don't worry. That's where Asta say, "Sure." This is where, well, Asta kind of sees she's leaving. And this is where, well, we go into a time skip. This is where, well, Asta's kind of training by himself still. But of course, this is where, well, Kakashi found him and of course teach him the Chidori. To see if Asta will actually learn how to do the Chidori. So of course Asta trains in doing the Chidori. And of course actually master it. But master it into a different color of the lightning blade. But of course we go into the time skip of the bridge building day. Of course Naruto and Raven are actually going while Asta forgot this is even the bridge day and they all have to go. And of course it worked well. They let Asta kind of rest, but yeah, Kakashi wants to let him. Doesn't work well. Asta wakes up, hears Inari, and also mentioned Inari is still kind of angry, talking a lot of shit. But of course this is where Naruto went ham on him and say, "Shut the fuck up." Of course Asta was not going to get involved with that, but yeah. This is where, well, Tatsumi, she kind of like says, "I'm sorry about Inari and blah blah blah," but yeah. This is where Inari says, "Let go of my mother." This is where both of the guys says, "Kill the brat." This is where Asta appears right now with a Tanto. This is where Asta, he says, oh no you don't. Lightning style. Lightning, what's called lightning chakra. He has lightning to his blade. And of course, this is where he stabs through one of the men by twisting mid-air. And of course, this is where, well, he throws the other, well, he throws his blade at the other and manages to stab the guy in the head before he even does anything to Tsumi. This is where, well, but of course, this is where, well, Tatsumi was like saying thank you, thank you, thank you, kind of thanking Asta. This is where, and her says, mother, you're okay, thank you, Asta-san. That's where, well, he said, please tell Naruto that I actually wanted to protect my mother. I will become brave, a strong warrior, just like he said before. Asta nodded and told Tatsumi and Naruto to kind of go hide. This is where he needs to go. This is where he grabs the blade off of that man's head and started rushing towards the bridge. This is where, well, 3 battles are happening. Zabuza is fighting against, well, Kakashi. This is where, well, Haku is fighting against Naruto. Raven is actually back to kind of be, well, she's kind of like protecting, well, what's it called? Tazuna. Yeah, Tazuna, sorry, I forgot his name. But this is where, well, she's just kind of like, not fighting him, mostly protecting him. And of course, this is where, well, Zabuza says, you think you can win against me, Kakashi? Hatake, or should I say perv? This is where Kakashi goes, eh. He gets a tick mark, say, I'm gonna kill you now. This is where, well, his red glowing eye is kind of like in anger. He has a tick mark, but yeah. This is where, well, Haku is saying, I'm sorry, but I will have to knock you out. This is where, of course, Naruto is kind of fighting and dodging the attacks, blocking them with kunais. And this time not getting hit multiple times. He's actually showing his actual speed. This is where he's dodging left, right, twisting down, up, down, dodging. This is where, well, Haku has to speed up, but this is where every time he speeds up, Naruto managing to keep up with him and even surpass his speed. This is where Naruto says, I won't lose to you. I won't lose to you because my rival, my brother, I don't need his help. But if I ever do need his help, I will actually ask him. But for now, even though he's not here, I will surpass his speed. Because he is the only one to actually believe in me. This is where Naruto actually activated the Nine-Tails cloak, but only like the Nine-Tails like eyes. This is where his right side eyes, he actually bursts into speed. And of course, this is where, well, it's only the reddish chakra, not the actual cloak, the Kyuubi cloak one tail. No, it's just the reddish chakra. And of course, is where, well, the orange chakra mostly. But of course, is where Naruto started like breaking through all the mirrors and kind of getting what's called Haku. Of course, is where he wanted to stab Haku. But before stabbing Haku, because Haku was actually like shocked because of the sound wave screaming. Because yes, Naruto did that. This is where, well, Haku was actually shocked mid-air, but before actually getting stabbed with a kunai, this is where a girl actually appeared with her kind of whitish, silverish hair, well, mostly whitish hair. Of course, this is where her mask appears to be a mostly blank mask. Well, not a blank mask, kind of being a little bit of greenish mask mostly that kind of have flowers on it. Appear, of course, having this greenish clothing and all that, and she like decides to take the wound hit. This is where, well, she then falls down and says, damn it, sorry about that, older brother Haku. This is where Haku says, sis, you idiot, why? This is where Naruto was confused, saying, so sorry. This is where, well, Naruto was actually shocked. He was actually confused. Who the hell is this person? This is where Haku gets angry, and of course she makes an ice dragon all around him appear, saying, die! You hurt my little sister. This is where, well, when Zabuza saw this, he was actually shocked. He got angry and actually tried to actually kill, well, Kakashi. In the rage of blood of anger, this is where a demon appears. This is where Kakashi throws up. But before even anything happening, something appeared like in the bridge, exploding. This is where, well, both Kakashi and Zabuza gets pushed away and actually pushed to like the, well, fight someone. They both kind of landed on the water because they got punched. And of course, it's where, well, both Zabuza and Kakashi are shocking who this person is. This is none other than, well, Kaksu, saying, I guess I get to get two heads 2 different villages. That money is going to be nice. This is where, well, Haku's confused, but of course he tries to use the ice dragon to block the radius attack. Of course, he was mostly hurt and trying to protect, well, Haki. And of course, to where, well, Naruto, what's it called, Raven and even Tarzan were shocked, but this is where, well, multiple bandits appear. This is where not Tarzan, Gato says, ha 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 ha. Well, while those other 2 ninjas are dealing with the S-rank ninja, you kids will have to go with me. I'll kill you, yellow-haired boy, and also you, Haku. But I'll take your sister, and I'll take your teammate, yellow-haired boy. This is where, well, Raven feels disgusting, even Haki, even though she's kind of, like, sickened because of the cut and all that, the slice. This is where, well, Gato says, ah, you're wounded, girl. Well, I get to use you for a little bit. This is where, well, before anything else happens, this is where Asta manages to appear and sees the chaos. This is where Raven is actually wanting to do something, but this is where Asta appears right next to, what's called Naruto. Asta says, are you okay, bro? Naruto's actually feeling exhausted thanks to his 9-tailed Kyuubi mode. He hasn't actually trained with the 9-tails, and of course, he is actually tired. This is where Naruto was actually about to move, but this is where Asta grabbed him before even doing anything, saying, I got this. You go kind of try to help, Kakashi. This is where Zabuza was angry the fact that Gato betrayed him and actually brought an S-rank ninja here, which is terrible. But yeah, this is where, well, Kakashi says, damn it. See, I knew it, you should have not trust anyone. This is where Zabuza says, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill that brat who stabbed Haki. This is where, well, Kakashi says, besides, if you don't help me right now kill this S-rank ninja, we're going to both die and your daughter might also die. This is where Asta, he turns around and sees Haku and Hakin. This is where Asta kind of went toward Hakin and said, Hakin, is that you? This is where, well, Asta managed to take off the mask and Hakin said, Asta. This is where she's coughing a little bit of blood. But this is where, well, Asta is looking at her face. She seems a little bit more pale. This is where, well, Haku kind of says, you know her? This is where, well, he's still exhausted a little bit, but of course one of his arms is kind of singed and burnt thanks to the explosion. This is where, well, Asta says, Haku, you okay? This is where, well, she said, yeah. This is where she cut a little bit more blood. This is where Asta says, who does this to you? This is where, well, Asta's voice became so dark, so angry. This is where, well, when Asta kind of like looked up, his eyes seems to be a different type. It looks to just be nothing but rage. His eyes becomes slick green. Yes, they become a slick. But this is where, well, his grimoire appears. This is where he hasn't been slacking using his grimoire. This is where the Demon Slayer appears. Well, appears in front of him. This is where Asta says, I'm gonna kill you all, you bastards. This is where, well, Asta kind of like cracks the ground. But before cracking the ground, he actually did try to heal with the Hakin because he knew a little bit of like healing jutsu because he has went to the hospital sometimes, and when he did ask some of the doctors about healing jutsu, they did kind of teach him a basics, like basic aid and all that. And since, well, Hakin didn't have like a large wound and all that, he managed to close it up. This is where Hakin says, why will you help me? That's where Asta tries to help Haku, and Haku says, why? We're the enemy of your team. This is where, well, Asta says, shush. You're her older brother. You have to protect her, right? Then do it. Asta then grabs the Demon Slayer, and of course, this is where, well, all of the bandits are kind of confused about the sword. This is where, well, they're kind of scared about that giant sword that kid just picked up so easily. And of course, Asta is 5'1", like original canon, but this time Asta's only 12 years old, I should mention. But this is where Asta grabs it and kind of puts it towards him. This is where Asta hasn't actually learned Ki, but of course he has learned something else that can actually manage to sense, what's it called, the, well, Ki from the demon and all that. This is where, well, he actually applies the chakra sensory towards this kind of sensing the demon anti-magic. Mr. Asta says, I never knew what this is, but whatever it will do, I don't care. I'll kill you, I'll slaughter you for touching her. This is where Asta puts a sword next to him. He grabs it with his other hand, and this is where Asta started feeling the anti-magic flowing through him. This is where, well, an explosive power exploded from him. Now there's nothing but red and black aura around him. His face, well, mostly his hair is changed to kind of being black, having two horns on one side and the other side being nothing but complete normal, just like its original body and all that. This is where his arm has become, well, this black kind of color. This is where a demonic wing appears. And this is where Asta doesn't have a tail, but yeah. This is where Asta appears, right now holding the anti-magic sword, the Demon Slayer, in his left hand, and of course that demon wing is also there. There's no demon tail, but of course Asta crushes the ground, right now just making the ground behind him just split up. This is where Asta is now flying fast as fuck towards the, enemy, mostly all the bandits. This is where he swings his sword once and cutting them all down. But before actually cutting them all down, it looked like the anti-magic sword managed to absorb and actually cut down all the chakra that was inside anyone at the radius of 1 mile. Now there's a lot of bandits, so of course multiple of them just gets obliterated with just one slash. It looked like even though the anti-magic sword only affects magic, it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect other powers, like chakra. That's why, well, for Asta's case and why it doesn't actually affect him because of his chakras, because even though it has to be magic, the demon still is confused with chakra, so of course, how Asta's having chakra kind of confused him a lot. He doesn't know if he should drain it or shouldn't, because Asta still doesn't have magic, and still, he just lets Asta kind of hold him. He doesn't give a shit. This is where, well, Asta cuts down all the, well, bandits. He starts just flying and blitzing through them. This is where Asta says, Black Hurricane! This is where he spins around so fast, making a hurricane and bing, 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 cutting them all down. This is where Asta then sees Gato and says, I should kill you now, but I shouldn't now. This is where, well, Asta says, hey, Raven, can you grab him? This is where, well, she does kind of use her darkness tentacles appear around him, and of course tie him up. This is where he said, no, wait, I'll give you anything. This is where, well, Asta says, bring him towards, well, Tazuna, and tell Tazuna whatever you want to do with him. Tazuna says, I got it, I know what to do with him. You're gonna pay for what you did, Gato. Asta saying, Kakaza, help! This is where Asta says, no you don't. This is where, well, Kaksu kind of heard Gato's voice and said, damn it, that idiot. This is where he was easily taking out Zabuza and Kakashi couldn't actually kill them. So of course left them be in the water kind of floating. Now right now down. This is where Kaksu appears saying, what? This is where when he looks to the side of him, he sees Asta in his anti-magic demon mode. That's where Asta sees it. And right now can see the chopper. He has tons. This is where Asta flies towards him and blitzing Kaksu, slashing him. This is where two of his hearts just get destroyed in an instant. Kaksu watered his eyes and said, you demon. This is where he's angry. He's confused also because what the hell is Asta? Asta says, you must be whatever. I don't care what you are. But I will defeat you. I won't let you be anywhere near my friends. This is where Asta appears. Right now blitzing Kaksu, and actually managed to grab him from the face and throw them straight towards the water. This is where, well, it was kind of near Kaksu and, well, not Kaksu, Zabuza and, Kakashi, and they tried to get up, and of course the, water next to them, like a couple of feet next to them, like 5 feet next to them, just splashes in the wave, kind of like push them up and then kind of push them away. This is where Zabuza kind of lost his sword, but this is where, well, the sword is kind of floating up a little bit. It's kind of sticking up because the water was kind of shallow a little bit, but yeah, because where Salvatore was up. But this sword, well, Asta grabs the sword. He grabs the sword and like picks it up. Also, if you're wondering what I just hit, it's because I actually hit my phone into the wall where I'm not looking. Because I'm walking around and having my eyes closed. Should probably stop doing that. But yeah. But of course, this is where Asta grabs the executioner. He like picks it up, and of course, with his own strength, he can actually pick it up. This is where the anti-magic is actually consuming the blade and actually turning it into a black blade now. This is where, well, Asta is now looking at Zabuza. This is where Zabuza saw his blade turning into black, and this is where Asta says, "I'm gonna kill you, bastard." This is where, well, Kazu gets up and says, "I'm gonna murder you, you little shit." Rushes at, well, Asta. Of course, is where he has his fist into, well, metal. Of course, he transformed into metal. He then transformed his other fist into pure lightning. But it's not like a Chidori, it's just lightning fist. Both the fire and water heart were destroyed. His wind heart is the only one that's making him survive. But yeah, this is where he sends a powerful metal punch at, well, Asta. Asta blocks that with the executioner. This is where when the lightning punch was trying to hit him, he uses the anti-magic. When Katsu does smash his fist into the anti-magic sword, it kind of dissipates. And of course, started actually draining his own chakra out. This is where Zabuza jumped away. Well, not Zabuza, mostly Katsu. Katsu then says, "Wind style, wind obliteration." He sent a very powerful wind style, and of course also uses the anti-magic sword to cut horizontal, and just cuts it so easily, like it went, it's gone. Well, not horizontal, mostly vertical, and of course it just passes by Asta. Mostly the middle was just cut down. This is where, well, Katsu rushes at Asta right now, trying to beat him up. Then using his what's it called thread to attack Asta. Asta cuts them down so easily with both the anti-magic sword and the executioner, kind of dual-wielding them. This is where, well, Asta then swings his anti-magic sword straight towards, well, Katsu. Katsu managed to get a little bit of a cut on his arm. This is where, well, he realized his arm isn't healing. So, of course, he tried to use his thread, but they kind of get destroyed. It looks like the sword is notifying, erasing, and anything it's doing. It's unbelievable. It's powerful. He needs to get rid of this kid. This is where Asta says, "I won't let you do anything to my friends." No one. I say no one. This is where, well, I should also mention one thing. One of Asta's eyes is purely red. Yeah. This is where, well, Asta now rushes at not Zabuza, Katsu. This is where Katsu says, "Fine. Metal steel armor." Well, mostly he kind of puts his body into armor, and this is where mostly metal, and then put lightning around, and then wind around him like a barrier. This is where Asta, he then puts the executioner down, sent his fist, mostly not his fist, he mostly sent the executioner, stabbing through it, then uses his other sword to slash horizontal, and of course managed to cut through the wind, and this is where Asta then twists super fast. This is where he has both the executioner and the what's called demon slider towards the what's called left of him, swinging them at the same time horizontal. This is where, well, Katsu widened his eyes. He saw the light flash between his eyes. This is where a Kamui started appearing. But before even the Kamui getting Katsu out of there, his heart gets destroyed and the Kamui gets destroyed also. This is where, well, his wind heart gets slashed by the executioner. The two other hearts gets cut down by the anti-magic sword. Also destroying the Kamui chakra base on that shit. This is where, well, what's it called? Katsu cough up blood and actually falls down, being dead. That's where Obito widened his eyes. He saw the nuisance in this bullshit. Because he now see one of his district ninjas gets destroyed by a kid. A child who can actually hold two giant swords, which actually confused the shit of him, but also can transform into this weird fucking entity that he doesn't actually know what the fuck it is. This is where, well, after also swinging both of his swords kind of kind of like, what's it called, horizontal, but also parallel to each other, he kind of passes out also. His anti-magic sword, mostly the energy that he only had 5 minutes. He was doing this all in 5 minutes. 3 minutes took up with fighting against the bandits, but of course the other two was kind of fighting against what's called Kakuzu. This is where, well, Asta passes out. This is where, well, he lets go of the not anti-magic sword. The demon sword does land back into his grimoire and does go back near him. This is where, well, the sword, the executioner, he has it. And of course, this is where, well, he kind of doesn't let go of it. He doesn't want to, like, let go of it going into the water. But of course, he does pass out. This is where, well, Obito appears, having a, what's it called, kunai straight towards. Well, the child's head must be Asta, saying, "Die. I will not let you get in my way, you brat!" Sending a kunai straight towards the neck of, well, the neck of Asta. This is where, well, someone says Chidori. Right now, having a Chidori in his hand and being actually pushed with a large wave behind him. And of course, this is where, well, Kakashi has a Chidori, but this is where his eyes started flashing and kind of spinning to kind of being the MS. This is where he says Kamui, and of course Kamui's the blade out of, well, what's called Obito's hand. This is where when Obito sees this, he looks up and sees Kakashi saying, "You're not killing one of my students, Chidori!" This is where, well, he tries to stab at Obito, but Obito managed to do Kamui and actually get out of that freaking situation. This is where, well, Kakashi, he misses Obito, and Obito does manage to Kamui and turn into a portal. But yeah, he got out of that situation. This is where, well, Kakashi saying, "Where did he go?" This is where Zabuza, he is kind of tired, and of course he isn't doing anything. But of course, this is where Obito sees the situation has gotten any more dangerous and needs to escape. So of course he leaves. This is where, well, Asta, who's right now tired, sleeping. He is tired. He's gone. This is where, well, Zabuza, who's kind of walking towards Kakashi in a slow pace, doesn't actually attack Kakashi. Instead, grabs Asta and actually carries him back into, well, the, what's it called, bridge. This is where, well, multiple siblings are right now kind of beating the shit out of Gato. And of course, kind of telling him, "You're a dirtbag, trash can, blah, blah, blah." But yeah, this is where Raven is confused why Asta even helped the enemy. Of course, this is where Haku and Hakin right now still hurt. This is where Naruto is kind of trying to protect him because he felt bad and he apologized to Hakin about kind of stabbing her. But yeah. Okay, let me go back to the what if. But of course, this is where, well, we go into a few hour time skip, mostly like 24 hours. This is where, well, the bridge is finally completed after, well, the help of Team 7 and also, well, Zabuza's group. This is where, well, Asta's in bed sleeping, and of course, where Hawking is making sure that he's okay. Kind of healing some of the minor wounds he kind of got when he was fighting against Zabuza. Even though he was, his demon side was actually managed to nullify all the attacks and scars and scratches. The other human side was getting fucked up mostly, but yeah. This is where, well, Asta's being healed by her, by mostly the best that she can. So yeah, she's an herb medic ninja, but yeah, this is where, well, she's healing him, and of course, this is where, well, Asta kind of cracks one of his greenish eyes, mostly his right eye, and looks at Hawking. This is where, well, it's not just Hawking, it's also Raven next to her. This is where Asta says, "Huh? My eyes. Oh, what just happened?" So Asta opens both of his eyes and then sees Hawking and Raven. Hawking is kind of putting ointment into, well, to call Asta's like muscles and all that. And this is where, well, Hawking is trying so hard not to blush or have even a blood nose. So where Raven's doing the same. And so where Asta kind of gets up and says, "What are you two doing?" This is where both of them get startled and say, Asta. This is where, well, Asta says, "Yeah, that's my name." "Oh, Hawking, you're fine." Hawking says, "Yeah, thanks to your medical ninja healing, you managed to heal me." So Raven's like, "Yeah." And Asta, can you not do something so stupid like that?" Asta says, "Huh? Oh. No, I can't." That's where, well, she gets angry and says, "You idiot. Do you not know how worried your brother was?" That's where Asta says, "Aren't you also worried?" "Yes, because I'm your teammate." "Idiot." Asta says, "Yeah, okay. But still, what are you girls doing? Putting ointment on you so you won't actually infect your wounds." That's why Asta says, "Oh, my wounds? Huh, they're getting healed. Interesting. This is where, well, he remembers when he was actually like a 5-year-old and every time he got hurt. And the other world, he could never heal. He wasn't like gifted with magic, and of course, he couldn't be healed with his mana. But in this world, he was gifted with chakra, and of course, he's actually able to heal faster. This is where, well, Asta says, it's fine. These wounds are nothing. This is where, well, they say nothing. You could have got killed by an Esric ninja. Somehow you managed to bullshit pull that off and managed to kill the Esric ninja. You idiot, how dense are you supposed to be? This is where Naruto is kind of outside, just kind of like drinking a hot cocoa from, well, Tatsumi. And this is where, well, Inari is telling Naruto about how he was a brave person. He tried to protect his mother, but of course Naruto's brother managed to save, what's it called, his mother. And of course this, mostly telling him a lot. And this is where Haku's also there just sitting on like a chair and all that. Kind of overhearing how Inari is doing and other things. This is where, well, Naruto is kind of happy and saying, good job, kid. Believe it, Daidoyo. You will become a strong man. You will be definitely the man of this house, definitely protecting your mother and your grandfather. Even though your grandfather's kind of drunken man. But you would definitely become like your father. Even though I never had parents. But even though I never had parents or cared about having parents, I still had my brother, and we will become stronger. Besides, you should have saw how he was fighting against that Esric ninja. Gotten a little bit more stronger than me. I won't give up still. Datayabayo, because I will become the Hokage. Datayabayo! This is where us can hear Datayabayo and say, what the hell is Naruto screaming about? This is where, well, Raven gets out there and smashes her fist into Naruto's head and say, what the hell was that for? Shut up, he's healing. Okay, fine, Jesus. This is where, well, Raven gets back inside and says, yeah, it's just your brother. I guess so. This is where Asta passes out and falls back to sleep. But yeah, we go into a little bit more time skip, and of course, this is where Asta's team is with what's it called, Zabuza's kind of two children, mostly being Haku and Hakin. This is where, well, Zabuza says, still, I'm quite interesting, kid. Quite interesting that you actually managed to pick up the executioner blade, but I must still hold it because I am one of the 7 swordsmen. That's where Asta says, okay, so what does it take for me to kind of hold the blade again? Being my successor? But I'm not making you be my successor. Either Haku will be my successor or Hakin. Hakin say, I can barely even pick up the sword. How the hell am I going to pick it up? That's where Haku says, this is where, well, Zabuza says, whatever, you two brats. But still, Kakashi Hatake, I would like to join the Leaf Village. Kakashi winds his eyes at them. Wait, what? This is where, well, both Haku and Hakin wind their eyes. This is where Asta says, what just happened? This is where Naruto says, Raven goes, what? This is where, well, she narrowed her eyes at Hakin, and Hakin narrowed her eyes at her. They both have creepy smiles, but yeah, we'll see smiling at each other. This is where Asta feels like something in the near future is going to tell him not to fuck up anything. Really bad. This is where, well, he ignores that future calling and instead just goes on with his life. This is where, well, we go into Zabuza talking to Horusen. Horusen said that, Zabuza needs to be under what's it called, inspection from multiple ambus, and he has to be in house arrest for 1 week. Of course, where, well, since what's called Haku and Haki doesn't have any bounty posts on them, they can become anything right now. This is where Haku says that he wants to be a medic ninja man, because even though he was good in herbs and all that, he wants to still learn how to heal, because, well, he wants to protect his little sister. Hakin, on the other hand, says she wants to be a ninja, and says that she wants to be specifically on Team 7. This is where, well, Harusen says, there's already a team of 3 and I can't get rid of any of them. This is where, well, Harusen says, Raven, do you want to be in another team? Because he does remember how Raven acts most of the time, like 3 months ago. Because yes, it's been 3 months ago. This is where, well, Raven says, no, I'll be okay on this team. This is where, well, Harusen says, damn. This is where Hawking gets angry. Quite angry. This is where, well, he knows that splitting both Naruto and, what's it called, Asta would be bad. So, yeah, he doesn't do that at all. He decides to just put a Hawking on that team and says, good luck with that 4 teammate of yours, Kakashi. Good luck, bye. This is where he says, shoot, 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 shoot. Of course, where, well, Kakashi says, wait, what? Huh? What? This is where, well, Asta is kind of just excited because he now sees that this could be a good opportunity to become the Seven Swordsman apprentice. So yeah, of course we go into a time skip of, well, some training days, and of course is where another mission appears. This time is to go to the land of snow and kind of protect a princess. Name? I don't remember her name. Her name was Kyoki, I think so. But yeah, well, for right now, I'm gonna leave off here for part 4 of this what if, and have a nice potato day, potato night, potato see, potato, and good night. But yeah, bye bye.